Dr. Maya Johnson checked her watch as she walked through Atlanta International Airport. She had plenty of time before her flight to Boston, where she would speak at an important medical conference. As one of the top neurosurgeons in the country, Maya often traveled to share her knowledge with other doctors. Today was like any other travel day. Maya wore a simple but elegant navy blue pantsuit. Her natural hair was styled in a neat bun, and she carried a small carry-on suitcase in her laptop bag. Nothing about her appearance suggested she was someone important. She was just another traveler, except for the first-class ticket in her hand. When the announcement came for first-class boarding, Maya gathered her belongings and approached the gate. Several other passengers, mostly white men in business suits, lined up in the priority lane. Maya took her place behind them, boarding pass ready. "Excuse me, ma'am," a voice called out. "General boarding hasn't started yet." Maya turned to see a gate agent, a woman with blonde hair pulled back tightly, looking at her with raised eyebrows. "I know," Maya replied with a polite smile. "I'm boarding with first class." She held up her boarding pass. The gate agent didn't even look at the ticket. "This line is for first-class passengers only," she said loudly, drawing attention from nearby travelers. "You'll need to wait until your group is called." Maya felt a familiar tightening in her chest. She had been here before, assumed to be in the wrong place simply because of how she looked. But she kept her composure. "I understand," Maya said calmly, "but I do have a first-class ticket. See?" She extended her boarding pass again. The gate agent glanced at the ticket but shook her head. "There must be some mistake. Please step aside so these passengers can board." Behind Maya, a businessman in an expensive suit cleared his throat impatiently. Rather than creating more of a scene, Maya stepped out of line, confused and embarrassed. She watched as the gate agent smiled warmly at the other first-class passengers, checking their tickets carefully. When the businessman who had been behind her presented his ticket, Maya noticed something. The gate agent barely looked at his boarding pass before waving him through. The difference in treatment was obvious. Taking a deep breath, Maya approached the desk where two other gate crew members stood. "Excuse me," she said. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. I have a first-class ticket, but your colleague wouldn't let me board." One of the gate crew, a man with a supervisor badge, frowned at her. "Ma'am, first-class boarding is almost complete. If you're causing problems, we might have to remove you from the flight altogether." "Problems?" Maya asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I'm simply trying to board with my correct class of service." "Look," the supervisor said with a sigh, "we have procedures. If you're not where you're supposed to be." "May I see your boarding pass?" The third gate crew member interrupted, holding out her hand with visible impatience. Maya handed over her ticket. The woman looked at it, then at Maya, then back at the ticket. Her expression changed slightly. "This is indeed a first-class ticket," she admitted, but her tone suggested this was somehow suspicious. "How did you?" Before she could finish her question, a commotion at the jet bridge caught everyone's attention. A senior flight attendant was walking quickly toward them, her eyes fixed on Maya with an expression of recognition. In that moment, Maya knew that things were about to change dramatically for everyone involved. "Dr. Johnson?" The senior flight attendant's voice rang clear across the gate area. "Dr. Maya Johnson, is that you?" The gate crew froze. The supervisor's mouth opened slightly as he looked between Maya and the approaching flight attendant. "Yes, that's me," Maya replied, relief washing over her face. The flight attendant, whose name tag read Patricia, reached them with a warm smile. "I thought I recognized you. You performed surgery on my nephew last year. You saved his life." She turned to the gate crew. "This is Dr. Johnson. She's one of the best neurosurgeons in the country." The blonde gate agent who had first stopped Maya turned pale. "There must have been some confusion," she stammered. "The only confusion," Patricia said firmly, "is why a first-class passenger was prevented from boarding." She took Maya's boarding pass from the third crew member and scanned it herself. "Everything is in order. Please come with me, Dr. Johnson. Let me escort you to your seat." But the supervisor stepped forward, trying to regain control of the situation. "We still have procedures." "I've been flying first class on this airline for 5 years," Maya finally said, her voice calm but firm. "This is the first time I've been stopped and questioned about whether I belong there." By now, Several passengers had paused to watch. Some had their phones out, recording the interaction. A middle-aged woman nearby nodded in support of Maya. "The doctor has a valid first-class ticket," Patricia stated. "And our procedure is to check the boarding pass, which none of you bothered to do properly." The supervisor's face reddened. "We were just." "Just what?" asked a new voice. A tall man in an airline uniform approached. His badge identified him as the station manager. "What's happening here?" Before the gate crew could answer, Patricia explained the situation. The manager's expression darkened as he listened. "Dr. Johnson, I sincerely apologize for this experience," he said after hearing the full story. "This is completely unacceptable. Please allow me to personally escort you to your seat." Maya nodded, still keeping her emotions in check. As they walked toward the jet bridge, she could hear the station manager instructing the gate crew to meet with him immediately after completing the boarding process. As they walked down the jet bridge, the manager spoke quietly. "I want you to know that this will be fully investigated. We do not tolerate this kind of behavior from our staff." Maya appreciated his words but had heard similar promises before. "Thank you," she said simply. When they reached the aircraft door, Patricia took over again. "I've upgraded you to our best seat in first class, 1A, with extra space, and your drinks will be complimentary for the entire flight." Maya settled into her spacious seat, finally allowing herself to process what had happened. She pulled out her phone and saw several messages already waiting. One was from a colleague who had been at the gate. "Just witnessed what happened. Not okay. Let me know if you need a witness." Another passenger, seated across the aisle, leaned over. "I got the whole thing on video," she whispered. "If you need it, just let me know." Maya thanked her and turned to look out the window. This wasn't the first time she had faced such treatment, but it was the first time so many people had witnessed it and offered support. As the plane prepared for takeoff, Maya's phone buzzed with an email notification. It was from the airline's customer service department, requesting a meeting upon her arrival in Boston. The subject line read, "Urgent, incident report and formal apology." What the gate crew didn't know, what they couldn't have known when they decided to single her out, was that Dr. Maya Johnson wasn't just any surgeon, and by tomorrow they would understand exactly how serious their mistake had been. As the plane reached cruising altitude, Patricia stopped by Maya's seat with a glass of champagne. "I want to personally apologize again, Dr. Johnson," she said quietly. "I've worked for this airline for 15 years, and I'm ashamed of what happened today." Maya accepted the drink with a small nod. "Thank you, Patricia." The flight attendant hesitated, then leaned closer. "You probably don't remember, but we actually met before. At the Children's Hospital Gala last spring, you were receiving an award for your work with pediatric brain tumors." Recognition flashed across Maya's face. "That's right. You were volunteering at the event." "Yes, my sister works at the hospital." Patricia paused. "That's not all, though. The thing is, Dr. Johnson, many of us know exactly who you are." Maya raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "The airline CEO announced it at our last corporate meeting. You've been appointed to the hospital board of directors. Our airline just signed a major partnership with your hospital system. Your face was in the presentation." Maya set down her champagne. This explained the urgent email she had received. Her appointment to the board had only been finalized last week, and the news wasn't yet public. But corporate partners had been informed. "Those gate agents had no idea who they were mistreating," Patricia continued. "But they will soon." The woman across the aisle, who had been pretending not to listen, could no longer contain herself. "Excuse me," she said, leaning over. "I'm Tanya Williams, with the Boston Herald. Would you be willing to comment on what happened back there?" Maya hadn't realized there was a reporter on the flight. She took a deep breath. As a black woman in medicine, she had always been careful about speaking out, but maybe it was time. "I appreciate your interest, Ms. Williams, but I'd like to give the airline a chance to address this properly first," Maya replied diplomatically. The reporter nodded respectfully and handed Maya her business card. "I understand. If you change your mind, please call me." As the flight continued, Maya opened her laptop to review her presentation for the conference, but she found it difficult to focus. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications. The video of the incident had already been posted online and was spreading quickly. Maya clicked on one link. The comments section was filled with outrage on her behalf. Many people were sharing their own similar experiences. A new email appeared in her inbox, this one from the airline's chief diversity officer. The subject line read, "Urgent meeting request, CEO involvement." Maya closed her laptop and looked out the window at the clouds below. She hadn't asked for this attention. She had simply wanted to board her flight like anyone else. Now, she had a decision to make about how to respond. Patricia returned with a phone. "Dr. Johnson, I apologize for the interruption, but our CEO is on the line and would like to speak with you." Maya took the phone. "This is Dr. Johnson." "Dr. Johnson, this is Robert Anderson, CEO of Atlantic Airways. I've just been briefed about the disgraceful incident at the gate today. I want to express my deepest personal apologies." "Thank you, Mr. Anderson. This is completely unacceptable. I'd like to meet with you personally when you land in Boston. I'm having my car sent to the airport for you." Maya could hear the panic in his voice. The airline was facing a potential public relations disaster. "That won't be necessary," she replied calmly. "But I would appreciate a chance to discuss how we can turn this unfortunate incident into something positive." Of course. Anything you need." After ending the call, Maya handed the phone back to Patricia. The flight attendant looked at her with respect. "They had no idea who they were messing with," she said with a slight smile. Maya shook her head. "The problem is, Patricia, they shouldn't treat anyone that way, regardless of who they are." The plane landed at Boston Logan International Airport right on schedule. As the aircraft taxied to the gate, Maya noticed something unusual through her window. A small group of people was waiting on the tarmac, including a man in an expensive suit holding a sign with her name. "Dr. Johnson," Patricia said, approaching her seat as other passengers began collecting their belongings. "The airline has arranged for you to deplane first. There's a team waiting to escort you through a private entrance." Maya frowned slightly. "That won't be necessary. I'll exit with everyone else." Patricia looked uncomfortable. Mr. Anderson insisted. "I'm sure he did," Maya replied firmly. "But I don't want special treatment now. That's not the point of any of this." The flight attendant nodded with understanding and stepped back. When the doors opened, Maya waited her turn in line like everyone else. As she walked through the terminal, she noticed people looking at her. Some were discreetly taking pictures with their phones. At baggage claim, Maya spotted a woman holding a tablet with the airline's logo. The woman rushed over as soon as she saw Maya. "Dr. Johnson, I'm Samantha Lee, Vice President of Customer Experience. We have a car waiting to take you to your hotel." "Thank you, Ms. Lee, but I've already arranged transportation." Samantha looked flustered. "The CEO is waiting to meet with you. We've reserved a private conference room." Maya checked her watch. "I have to deliver a keynote speech in 3 hours. I need to prepare. Please tell Mr. Anderson I can meet him at 7 p.m. this evening." As Maya walked away, her phone rang. It was Dr. William Chen, the head of neurosurgery at her hospital and her mentor for many years. "Maya, are you okay? I just saw the video." "I'm fine, William," she replied, stepping outside to wait for her rideshare. "Just another day of being black in America." "The hospital board is furious. The CEO wants to issue a statement of support." Maya hadn't expected this to become so big so quickly. "Tell them to wait. Let me handle this my way." In her hotel room, Maya turned on the television while unpacking. She froze when she saw her own face on the screen. The news anchor was saying, "Video of the respected neurosurgeon being denied boarding has now been viewed over 2 million times." They cut to an interview with a passenger from the flight. "It was obvious what was happening," the woman said. They took one look at her and decided she didn't belong in first class. Maya turned off the TV and sat on the edge of the bed. This was no longer just about her. It had become something bigger. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her sister. "You're trending on Twitter. Mom's worried. Call her." Another message came in from an unknown number. "Dr. Johnson, this is Congresswoman Watson. I'd like to speak with you about the incident today. This is exactly why we've been pushing for anti-bias legislation in the transportation sector." Maya closed her eyes and took several deep breaths. She had a speech to give, a career to maintain, and now, apparently, a movement to lead. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. When she opened it, A hotel staff member handed her a large gift basket with a note attached. It was from the airline's CEO. Dr. Johnson, I look forward to our meeting this evening. Please know that we are taking immediate action regarding today's incident. Maya placed the basket on the table and opened her laptop. Before preparing for her speech, she decided to write down exactly what she wanted from this situation. This wasn't about getting people fired or public apologies. This was about real change. As a surgeon, Maya was used to diagnosing problems and finding solutions. Now she would apply those same skills to something far more complex than the human brain. She would tackle the human heart, where bias and prejudice lived. Maya's keynote speech at the medical conference received a standing ovation. She had spoken about breakthrough techniques in pediatric neurosurgery, carefully avoiding any mention of the morning's incident. But as she stepped down from the stage, she could feel the whispers and glances following her. That was brilliant, Dr. Johnson, said Dr. Sarah Patel, a colleague from Johns Hopkins. But everyone's talking about what happened at the airport. Are you okay? Maya smiled professionally. I'm fine, Sarah. Thank you for asking. The video is everywhere. CNN just picked it up. Before Maya could respond, her phone buzzed with a notification. The airline had issued a public statement. Atlantic Airways is deeply disturbed by the treatment of Dr. Maya Johnson at our Atlanta gate this morning. We have launched a full investigation and have placed the employees involved on immediate administrative leave. We apologize to Dr. Johnson and are committed to ensuring all passengers are treated with dignity and respect. Maya put her phone away as more colleagues approached to express support. She answered their questions politely but briefly. By the time she left the conference hall, it was nearly 6:30 p.m. Her meeting with the airline CEO was in 30 minutes. The hotel had arranged a private conference room for the meeting. When Maya arrived, 4 people were waiting: CEO Robert Anderson, Vice President Samantha Lee, the airline's Chief Diversity Officer James Wilson, and a woman Maya didn't recognize. Dr. Johnson, thank you for meeting with us, Anderson said, extending his hand. This is Teresa Gonzalez, our legal counsel. Maya nodded, instantly understanding what Teresa's presence meant. The airline was worried about a lawsuit. Before we begin, Maya said calmly, taking a seat, I want to make something clear. I'm not here to threaten legal action or demand compensation. The tension in the room visibly decreased. What happened today was unfortunately not unusual, Maya continued. What's unusual is that it happened to someone in my position, with my connections, and that it was caught on video. Anderson nodded solemnly. We've reviewed the security footage from the gate. There's no excuse for how you were treated. No, there isn't, Maya agreed. But firing those employees won't solve the real problem. The executives exchanged glances. What do you propose, Dr. Johnson? Asked James Wilson, the diversity officer. From her briefcase, Maya removed a folder with several typed pages. I prepared some thoughts on how this incident could become a catalyst for meaningful change. She handed copies to everyone in the room. This is a 3-part proposal, she explained. First, yes, there needs to be accountability for the individuals involved. Second, you need better training programs, not just one-day seminars that everyone forgets, but ongoing education about implicit bias. And third, I want to see structural changes in how your company hires, promotes, and evaluates employees. The executives looked through her detailed proposal with increasing interest. This is quite comprehensive, Anderson said finally. I'm a surgeon, Mr. Anderson. When I diagnose a problem, I don't just treat the symptoms. I address the underlying cause. James Wilson was nodding enthusiastically. I've been pushing for some of these changes for years. Dr. Johnson, Samantha Lee said, would you consider working with us as a consultant to implement these changes? Maya hadn't expected this. I have a full-time career in medicine. We understand, Anderson said quickly. But your perspective would be invaluable. We're prepared to make a significant donation to your hospital or research foundation in exchange for your occasional input. Maya thought about it. Maybe this was how change happened, not through anger or lawsuits, but through education and collaboration. I'll consider it, she said finally. But first, I want to know exactly what actions you're taking regarding the gate crew. Anderson's face grew serious. We've completed our preliminary investigation. What would you like to know? We've reviewed the security footage multiple times, Anderson explained, opening a laptop to show Maya. It clearly shows that you were singled out. Other passengers with first-class tickets were not subjected to the same scrutiny. Maya watched the silent video of herself being turned away from the boarding line. Seeing it from this perspective, the discrimination was even more obvious than she had realized in the moment. That's not all, Samantha Lee added. We interviewed other passengers and staff members who witnessed the incident. Several reported hearing inappropriate comments from the gate agents when they thought no one could hear them. Maya raised an eyebrow. What kind of comments? The executives exchanged uncomfortable glances before Anderson spoke. Comments questioning how you could afford a first-class ticket, speculation about whether your ticket was legitimate. Maya wasn't surprised, but hearing it confirmed still stung. She kept her expression neutral as Anderson continued. We also discovered something else, he said, his voice becoming more serious. This isn't the first incident involving these particular employees. James Wilson, the diversity officer, opened a folder. We found 3 formal complaints against this gate crew in the past year, all from passengers of color who reported similar treatment. Unfortunately, the complaints were handled at the local level and never reached corporate headquarters. Maya leaned forward. So this has been an ongoing problem? Yes, Wilson admitted. The supervisor in charge has a pattern of ignoring or dismissing complaints related to discrimination. We found evidence that he discouraged passengers from filing formal reports. Teresa Gonzalez, the legal counsel, spoke for the first time. This represents a significant failure in our reporting systems. We're implementing changes immediately to ensure all complaints reach the appropriate departments. What about the passengers who filed those previous complaints? Maya asked. Had they received any follow-up or resolution? The room fell silent. It was clear no one had considered this question. I thought not, Maya said quietly. Those passengers didn't have viral videos or connections to your corporate partners. Their complaints were buried. Anderson shifted uncomfortably in his seat. You're absolutely right, Dr. Johnson. We will locate those individuals and address their complaints properly. With their permission, we'd like to include their experiences in our training materials. Maya nodded, appreciating this commitment. Now, about the gate crew. What actions are you taking? The 3 employees directly involved have been suspended without pay pending the conclusion of our investigation, Anderson said. Based on our findings so far, termination is likely. And the supervisor who buried the previous complaints. He's been placed on administrative leave as well, Samantha confirmed. We're conducting a thorough review of every complaint handled by his team over the past 2 years. Maya considered this information carefully. She didn't want to be responsible for people losing their jobs, but there needed to be consequences for such blatant discrimination. I appreciate your transparency, she said finally. But firing a few employees won't solve the deeper problems. What about the system that allowed this to happen repeatedly? Wilson nodded enthusiastically. That's exactly why your proposal is so valuable, Dr. Johnson. It addresses the systemic issues. Anderson closed the laptop. We're prepared to implement your recommendations in full. With your permission, we'd like to announce a comprehensive anti-bias initiative named in your honor. Maya shook her head immediately. No, this isn't about me or my name. This is about doing what's right for all your passengers. Of course, Anderson agreed quickly. What would you prefer? Maya thought for a moment. I want you to establish an independent oversight committee that includes regular travelers from diverse backgrounds. People who can provide real feedback on whether your changes are working. The executives looked surprised but impressed. That's actually brilliant, Wilson said. It would provide accountability beyond our corporate structure. As they discussed the details, Maya's phone vibrated with an incoming call from the hospital. She glanced at it and stood up. I need to take this, she said. It's about a patient. As she stepped away to answer, the airline executives exchanged looks of admiration. This woman wasn't interested in money or publicity. She wanted genuine change. 3 days later, Maya sat in her office at the hospital, reviewing patient files. The media storm had not died down. If anything, it had grown stronger. Her phone rang constantly with interview requests from major news networks, and her email inbox was overflowing. A knock at her door made her look up. It was Dr. Chen, the hospital director. "Maya, do you have a minute?" he asked, stepping inside and closing the door. "Of course, William." He sat down across from her desk, his expression serious. "The hospital board met this morning to discuss the airline incident. They want to release a statement of support." Maya sighed. "I appreciate that, but—" "That's not all," Dr. Chen continued. "Atlantic Airways has made a formal offer. They want to donate $5 million to our pediatric neurosurgery program." Maya's eyes widened. "$5 million?" "Yes, with no strings attached." He handed her an envelope. "Their CEO delivered this personally this morning." Maya opened the envelope and read the letter inside. It was a formal apology from the airline, along with confirmation of the donation. The letter also outlined the actions the company had taken since their meeting. "They fired the entire gate crew," Dr. Chen said, watching her reaction. "It was announced this morning. The story is all over the news." Maya set down the letter. "All of them? Even the ones who weren't directly involved?" Apparently, their investigation revealed that the discrimination was part of a pattern involving the whole team. The supervisor and 3 gate agents were terminated. 2 others were suspended and reassigned. Maya walked to the window, looking out at the hospital grounds below. She had mixed feelings about people losing their jobs, even if their actions have been wrong. "There's more," Dr. Chen said. "They've already implemented some of your recommendations. Every employee in the company is now required to complete anti-bias training. They're establishing the oversight committee you suggested, and they've reached out to the passengers who filed previous complaints." Maya turned back to face him. "That was fast. They're serious about fixing this, Maya. Your experience has forced them to confront problems they've been ignoring for years." Before Maya could respond, her assistant knocked and entered the office. "Dr. Johnson, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important." "Who is it?" Maya asked. "Her name is Letitia Williams. She says she saw what happened at the airport and needs to talk to you." Maya and Dr. Chen exchanged curious glances. "Send her in," Maya decided. A young black woman in her 20s entered the office. She looked nervous but determined. "Dr. Johnson, thank you for seeing me," she said. I worked at Atlantic Airways. I was a trainee at the gate that day." Maya gestured for her to sit down. "You were there?" Letitia nodded. "I was in training, watching from behind the counter. I saw everything that happened to you." She paused, gathering courage. "What you don't know is that I tried to speak up. I told my supervisor that they needed to check your boarding pass properly, but he told me to be quiet." "And now you've been fired along with everyone else," Maya realized. "Yes, but that's not why I'm here." Letitia reached into her bag and pulled out a thumb drive. "I've been documenting incidents like yours for the past 6 months. Every time I saw passengers of color being treated differently, I made notes. Dates, times, names. I was building a case to take to HR." Maya and Dr. Chen looked at the thumb drive with astonishment. "Why are you bringing this to me?" Maya asked. "Because you made a difference," Letitia said simply. "In one day, you accomplished what I've been trying to do for months. The company is actually making changes, but they're not telling the whole story. There are managers who knew about these problems and did nothing. They're still there, still in power." Maya picked up the thumb drive. "What do you want me to do with this?" "Use it," Letitia said firmly. "Make sure the changes are real and not just for show. And if possible," she hesitated, "help me get my job back. I want to be part of fixing things." As Dr. Chen excused himself to give them privacy, Maya realized that her involvement in this situation was far from over. What had started as a simple act of discrimination at an airport gate had evolved into something much larger. A chance to create meaningful, lasting change. 6 months had passed since the incident at Atlanta International Airport. Maya stood at the same gate, waiting to board another flight to Boston. This time, the experience was completely different. "Good afternoon, Dr. Johnson," said the gate agent, a young man with a warm smile. "We're honored to have you flying with us today. First class will begin boarding in about 5 minutes." Maya nodded and returned the smile. She wasn't receiving special treatment because of who she was. This was the new standard at Atlantic Airways: respectful, professional service for every passenger. As she waited, Maya noticed Letitia Williams at the gate counter, now wearing a supervisor badge. After reviewing the evidence Letitia had provided, Maya had personally advocated for her reinstatement. Not only had Letitia gotten her job back, but she had been promoted to help implement the new policies. "Dr. Johnson," Letitia called, walking over during a quiet moment. "How are you?" "I'm well, Letitia. How is the new position working out?" "It's amazing," Letitia beamed. "I'm part of the training team now. We travel to different airports teaching staff about the new protocols. The oversight committee you suggested has been incredible, real passengers giving honest feedback about their experiences." Maya felt a sense of pride. The airline had kept its promises. The $5 million donation to her hospital had established a new research center for pediatric neurosurgery. But more importantly, systemic changes had been made to address discrimination throughout the company. "We've hired more people of color in leadership positions," Letitia continued. "And the reporting system has been completely redesigned. No complaint gets buried now." The announcement for first-class boarding came over the speakers. As Maya prepared to board, she noticed a familiar face, the blonde gate agent who had stopped her 6 months ago. The woman wasn't working for the airline anymore. She was standing in the regular boarding line, now just another passenger. Their eyes met briefly. The former gate agent quickly looked away, clearly recognizing Maya. Maya felt no anger toward her, only hope that she had learned something from the experience. On the plane, Maya settled into her seat and opened a magazine. Her own face looked back at her from the pages. The article was titled, "Dr. Maya Johnson: How One Incident Sparked Industry-Wide Change." The story had indeed gone far beyond a single airline. Other transportation companies had reviewed their own practices. Several had reached out to Maya for guidance on implementing similar protocols. "Dr. Johnson," a voice interrupted her reading. It was Patricia, the flight attendant from the original flight. "It's wonderful to see you again." "Hello, Patricia. You're still with the airline?" "Yes, and things are so different now." Patricia lowered her voice. "After what happened, many of us were afraid we'd lose our jobs too. But instead, the company actually listened to employees about problems we've been seeing for years." As the plane took off, Maya reflected on how a single moment of discrimination had led to unexpected positive changes. She hadn't asked for this role, but she had embraced it. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Tanya Williams, the reporter from the Boston Herald who had been on that first flight. The message contained a link to a new article. "Transportation Department announces new anti-discrimination regulations, cites Johnson incident as catalyst." Maya smiled and turned off her phone as the plane climbed into the clouds. What had started as a humiliating experience had transformed into something powerful and important. In her hospital office back home, a framed quote now hung on the wall, words Maya had spoken during an interview about the incident. "Change doesn't always come from planned movements or grand gestures. Sometimes it comes from ordinary people who refuse to be treated with anything less than dignity and respect." As the plane leveled off at cruising altitude, Maya closed her eyes. She hadn't set out to be an agent of change, but sometimes life puts you in exactly the place you need to be, even if it starts with being in a place where someone thinks you don't belong.